So we continue with our study of the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Transcendental Knowledge. So in the previous verses, we are now coming to verse 30. Lord Krishna has described various sacrifices for different kinds of people in different kinds of circumstances. Now, in the next verse, he speaks about the results of these sacrifices and what all these sacrifices should lead to. And it should all lead to the culmination of knowledge. It is meant to purify the heart and the mind so that we come to understand our real position as a spirit soul. But to be successful in that, we need to take the guidance of a spiritual master. If we take guidance of a spiritual master, then it will guide us how we can become Krishna conscious in our specific particular situation. And then this transcendental knowledge will awaken in our heart that we will realize it and be able to cross over the ocean of material suffering. Therefore, this chapter concludes the most sublime in this world is transcendental knowledge. So this is a summary of what we will discuss this morning. Text 30. Sarvapiyete chahya vido chahya ksapisa kalmasa chahya sistamrita bojo yanti vamma sanatanam. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions. And having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, so it's on the screen. All the performance and sacrifices help one to become cleansed of sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this world, but also at the end he enters in the eternal kingdom of God, either merging into the impersonal Brahman or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Srila Prabhupada makes the point, all these sacrifices are meant for our purification. And that will be, and that has been mentioned before. In 4.10, Krishna said, Vitaragabhayakota manmaya bhavamatma. Vitaragabhayakota manmaya bhava. Shrita. Bhavukana tapasa bhutamat bhavan agata. So he says, Vitaragabhayakota manmaya mamut apashrita. No. So he says, this one becomes free from attachment, fear, and anger by one becomes free from that by purification. And when one is purified, one develops love of God and love for all living entities. But Srila Prabhupada writes, they became purified by knowledge of me. by this transcendental knowledge we become purified. Because for the moment we are in ignorance, we identify with this body. Where we are under the dictation and control of our mind, who makes us act as the body. But that's because our identification with the body, which is due to impurities in the consciousness or the mind or the heart, and these impurities must be removed. These impurities are lust, anger, greed, attachment, fear, anger, so many things that, and we have developed these impurities by meditating on things in this world for our sense gratification, not considering that it is the property of Krishna and it's not meant for our enjoyment, but for Krishna's enjoyment. So we must become cleansed, like you see these hands on the screen. So by water it becomes cleansed. It's like washing our consciousness, washing our brain, our mind, that it must all be washed. This is the real brain washing, that yes, it has to be washed. It's contaminated by this false identification. And and then what's the result when the heart becomes purified? We become more happy because we are less attached to things in this world, and we feel satisfaction in the heart by just acting out of love, just giving, and that gives satisfaction. And when we are completely purified, we don't take bodies anymore, because we take bodies because we want to enjoy things in this world. But then our tendency for enjoyment is gone. We enjoy by giving pleasure to Krishna. That's spiritual enjoyment in the heart. And then, yes, next verse. Nayam lokosti ajanyasya kutonya kosattama. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then to the next? We must all do sacrifice. You want to get a diploma, you must study, it's a sacrifice. For whatever you want to achieve in life, you must do sacrifice. But this sacrifice, we will have its results in this life and in the next. That Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the different sacrifices recommended above automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of jhaya, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc. When the body is fully supplied, then the next step is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribe, therefore, sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Then one is surely elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the highest liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. Associate with the Supreme Lord. So the different sacrifices recommended both automatically solves our economic problems. What's the cause of the economic problems in this world? It's greed. One wants to get more than one needs. And by that, takes the quota of others. And then scarcity comes. But if one lives in harmony with God and understands everything belongs to him and we offer it to him, then Krishna gives everything what we need. That materially and spiritually. But we must do this jhaya of doing everything for the pleasure of Vishnu, for Krishna. We must do this jhaya continuously. So then one is elevated to the platform of release from material bondage. Yeah, one is not controlled anymore by one's lust, by one's mind, and so on. That the one is not controlled anymore by the urges of speech, the urges of the tongue, the stomach, the genitals, the demands of anger, that the demands of the mind. It's all finished. One controls the mind by engaging in devotional service. That and that may, if one comes out of that control, of course, it's always some control by the mind, and that in the sense that yes, the mind will always demand things, but the devotee learns to deal with the mind. He must learn to do that, how to control the mind. That the mind says, I want to eat sweets. And you say no. And the mind becomes very sour. What do? You tell the mind, I'll give you a little, but that's it. That's it. So you have, it's like a child. It wants this and that, and a little here, but that's it for today. Okay? So you have to learn to deal with your mind. And otherwise, the mind will make you suffer and will make you very unhappy. But if it's engaged, if the mind is engaged in devotional service, then there is no mind, no time for the mind to protest, because the mind is engaged. It is busy. No time. Like I was recording a podcast on the Bhagavad Gita this morning, and I was saying Srila Prabhupada was in a morning class somewhere in America. A devotee asked, Prabhupada, do you have lust in your mind? And Prabhupada said, no. But then in the afternoon, Prabhupada was going to another temple, and he was coming down from his room and to the car, and the same devotee who asked that question opened the door for the car for him. Srila Prabhupada looked at him and said, oh, yes, I've lust in my mind, but I've no time for it. It's not that Prabhupada has lust in his mind, but he's teaching us. No time for him, too busy with. Otherwise, if we don't engage the mind will engage us. And that's going wrong. You become unhappy. But if the mind is always nicely engaged, happiness in this life and in the next. Because if you follow the mind, it will bring you to hell in the next life. Next verse, 32. Evam bahu vida chahya vitata brahmano mukhe karmajam vititan sarvam evan chatva vimokshate. All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas. And all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Srila Prabhupada says here, yes, that if you do this sacrifice, it will lead you to liberation. Srila Prabhupada writes, because men are so deeply absorbed in the body concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or the intelligence, but all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. So engaging in these sacrifices, that purifies the mind, engages the mind, engages the intelligence, engages the senses, and one becomes purified and goes towards liberation. Now, in verse 33, next slide then, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the purpose of all sacrifices. Shayandravyamayat chahyan chahya parantapa sarvam kama kilam parta jane parisa mapyate. Chastisement of the enemy. The sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the sacrifice of material possessions. After all, son of Peter, all sacrifice of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So if one performs this sacrifice, one becomes purified. Purified means one's ignorance goes away, and one gets transcendental realization or realizations, and that means knowledge. The purpose of all sacrifice is to arrive to the status of complete knowledge, and then to gain release from all material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord in Krishna consciousness. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Jnana Kanda is higher than Karma Kanda. Better that the end is knowledge. So Karma Kanda means, yes, giving charity, being charitable, that it's sacrifice of one's possession. I'm not going to enjoy it, I give it over to enjoy, and that purifies. But then the sacrifice for knowledge is better. Because if one studies the Vedas and the scriptures, especially those who are leading ones to liberation, then one learns I'm spirit, I'm different from matter. And one is fixed directly on this knowledge. Where in Karma Kanda, it's an indirect product that starts with the purification of the heart. But that's going very slow. But Jnana brings you directly to realizing I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. So that's higher. And that's the purpose is of the sacrifices explained before are for different people in different circumstances. Some have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord, others not. But Krishna is concerned with all. They do sacrifice. And even if they don't accept the Supreme Lord, they go towards liberation in the impersonal Brahman. At least they are going towards that. And they become more happy. But if you want to have the ultimate knowledge, text 34, you will have to approach a spiritual master. But first, next slide, reflections. Which of the before mentioned sacrifices are practiced by devotees? You can go over them again, but there are many which are practiced by devotees. The duties of brahmacharis, the duties of of Ghyastas who are sacrifices their senses in the fire of devotional service. What is the knowledge behind their practice? And what practical lessons can I learn from this? It's good to think about these things when you read this. And in the Purport Srila Prabhupada, he explains how we can use it in devotional service. Text 34. This is nearly the last section. It shows the method of obtaining knowledge, and then the results of this knowledge are described, the powers of this knowledge, and then the glories of this knowledge. And that's explained in the next verses. The next verse is a standard verse that all devotees must remember, that text 34, that the slide of text 34, slide 122. Dat vinapanapadna paraprashna sivna upadekshanta tegnam jnanas tat vadakshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire for him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. There are so many elements in that verse. Who is a spiritual master is one who has seen the truth. So he must have realizations. And therefore he can explain you how to bring this knowledge in practice and realize it. Must have realizations. Realization means like if you want to learn to play an instrument, and you get a book and you learn everything from the book, and then you are going to play. Will it go nice? No, you need a teacher. You need a teacher who knows how to play that instrument, right? It's the same thing. Spiritual master, he knows how to realize that, because he has become detached from matter. He has become attached to Krishna. And he knows the difficulties on the path and how to overcome these difficulties. And who is a spiritual master? Srila Prabhupada said, it's a transcendental postman. He delivers the message as it is. But in addition, he gives his own realizations. Just the spiritual master must be in the Guru Parampara, coming from Krishna. And it's Krishna's arrangement that one can only get Krishna's mercy via the medium of the spiritual master. You cannot get Krishna's mercy directly. You get it via medium of the spiritual master. Krishna has delegated his power to give his mercy to his pure devotee. So satisfying the spiritual master is important, otherwise you don't get the mercy of the spiritual master. So satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. But how to get the mercy? Following the instructions of the spiritual master. And instructions of Krishna in this verse. One must serve the spiritual master. One must approach him with humility, thinking oneself a great fool. And inquire from him how to make spiritual advancement. These are three elements of the relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master. If these three elements are not there, then there's no relationship, no spiritual connection. humility, service, and inquiry. So that's important. And then you will get spiritual make spiritual advancement, and come out of your material situation. Material situation which is characterized by lamentation, illusion, and fear. You get rid of it. The first spiritual master I met, and also the first devotee I met, was an old Swami from Gujarat, Vishnu Swami. And he used to say, you do SSI and you get rid of LIF. You do SSI, service, inquiry, and submission. Submission, service, and inquiry. These are these three elements. And then you get rid of LIF. You get rid of lamentation, illusion, and fear. So that's the process that is described here. That unless these three things are there is no relationship, there will be no effect. So in the beginning, we don't have a spiritual master. We accept Srila Prabhupada as our spiritual master. And we read his books. And we can inquire from his representatives that the senior devotees who have realizations, and inquire from them. Inquire. It's good to have, if one is really sincere and one wants to practice this, one thinks about it, how to do it, and one will have questions. Mostly not having questions is not a good sign. That means, oh, it went in that ear, there out, and nothing. Nice, let's take breakfast. So that's the principle here. Text. Now what's the result? Text 35. Yat vana punamam evan yasyasi pandavyam yena buddhani asheshani takshasyat matyato mai. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living entities are but parts of the Supreme. In other words, that they are mine. So, in other words, if you do that, you approach a spiritual master and you're serving, you inquire from him and try to put it in practice, then you must have results. It doesn't happen overnight, it takes some time. But the result is that you start to see how everything is connected in this world with Krishna. Nothing is separate from him. It's in the heart of everyone. It's in every atom. It's in between every atom. That is in the animals and is in the plants. I remember this is 15 years ago. We were, I think Prahlad Maharaj and me were in Lika camp. I noticed Maharaj when he was walking, he would not walk on the grass, never, always on the stones. So that's consciousness. These are living entities. And you start to respect all life. Life means soul. There is a soul in the grass halm, like us. And they have a body, a grass body. And they are suffering also. That's feeling suffering for us. That's one becomes Krishna conscious. One starts to see the connection. And one starts to see Krishna everywhere. That's the Uttamadikar. They see there is The living being's sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is Maya. That those who think they are this body, deep illusion. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna. So, Lord Krishna has created all these trees, these animals and so on for his enjoyment. And they're all serving Krishna. They don't know it. Their consciousness is too much covered. But they're also covering, serving Krishna by playing a part in his creation. So then you become ecstatic. You see Krishna everywhere. You see how Krishna is, how the super soul brings people into illusion. Like Prahlad Maharaj, when he heard the talk of Sona and Amarka, his teachers, he saw, oh, now I see that illusion, what Narada Muni was speaking about, my spiritual master. Now I see it, and they make distinctions between friends and enemies. But everyone is a spirit soul, everyone is suffering. So in this world, there is no higher, there is no lower. That it's just a big idea, a temporary, puffed up, I'm such a person and this and that, and next time, that finished, that it's all temporary and illusory. So one gets knowledge, one gets realizations, one becomes Krishna conscious. And then one comes, it's like coming on a boat, the next was Apshitas Pabio Savapur Papakitama Savagana Plaveneva Prichnam Santrishasi. Even if you are considered, if we don't develop that, what's wrong? Do we commit offenses? Am I not patient? It doesn't happen overnight, it takes some time. It can take many years before you become really peaceful inside and undisturbed. But surely we make progress. Progress should be there. That we can, why does it not happen? Not fully surrender to the instructions of the spiritual master. We remain attached to things in this world. I'm not humble, I'm challenged. I have a challenging mood. Or I have an immature understanding of what is said. Therefore, I cannot practice it properly. So these are reflections we must always have with us. Not take everything for granted. Now, in the last two verses of this chapter, Krishna speaks about the faithful and the faithless. Krishna has described this process, and you can have faith in it or not have faith. And that's important. If we don't have faith in Krishna's instruction, nothing will happen. Krishna say, okay, you don't trust me? You are on your own, good luck. So faith is very important in the development of, in the making of spiritual advancement. So faith is a qualification to get this knowledge and to realize it. So one must get that knowledge from the spiritual master and practice it, become fixed on it. Always think, how can I practice it? How can I execute the order of the spiritual master? That is a constant meditation of the devotee. So that's a qualification to get this knowledge. The disqualification is I don't believe in it. But how do you get real faith? By experience it. If you experience it, then you get faith. So if we understand all the stages of devotion, which we have described in our seminar, from Shraddha to Prema, then you can experience where I am. And you understand, that's where I am now. If I do that, I will go to the next stage. And then you have the next stage, and it's happened. You make advancement. Gives again more faith. So that's important, to this faith. And Krishna speaks about that in next slide, and then the next. So this is at the end, verse 39 and 40. 39. Shadavallabhate hyanam tatpara samyatendriya hyanam lapva samtim asharanadhigacchati. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he attains the spiritual peace. So, to get this realization, we must have faith first in Krishna's words, and then faith in the words of the spiritual master, and then execute their instructions, become fixed in the practice, controlling one's senses by engaging them in Krishna's service. And that the result you will have realization. You will attain this knowledge within. And gradually you become liberated, become out of the control of this material nature, which is, you come out of the control of following the dictations of the mind. Instead of following the dictations of the mind, you will follow the dictations of the super soul within. And these dictations of the super soul within are the same as the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. No difference. Not. But if you don't have that faith, Krishna says, Ahyashadadana samsayatma vinashati nyam lokostina paronasukam samsayatma. But the ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So, if you have no faith in the scriptures and you are doubtful, no happiness in this life, nor in the next. Something to consider. So now we have the last two verses of Bhagavad Gita. Text 40. But the ignorant, no, I just read that. It's 41. 41 and 42. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchina samsyam atmavantam karmana nibbadnanti dhananja. One works in devotion and service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge that is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of conqueror of riches. So there is a little error in the slide number 130. It's verse 41 and 42. It's not verse 40 and 41. So Krishna says in this verse if you are situated in knowledge of the self, you realize you are the spirit soul, the consciousness in the body, and not his body. The soul, which is a servant of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. If you act with that knowledge that you act as a spirit soul for the service of Krishna, you have no reactions anymore. But if we act as the body, this is I, mine, and then you get one reaction after the other. That is acting according to the knowledge of the real self. And that's Krishna consciousness. And then no reactions anymore. We are the spirit soul, we are not the body. The spirit soul cannot do material activities. It's the body who does the material activities. And these activities are done not by us, but by the super soul. What does the soul do? Our only desire. It cannot do material activities because it's not material. Does that make sense? That last verse, that therefore, the conclusion is, first slide, 131. That, so Krishna, also a little error there, 41, 42. So Krishna urges Arjuna to arm himself with transcendental knowledge and fight. And that's the conclusion. You should do your duty as a Kshatriya, was to maintain religious principles and protect them. You must do your duty. And sometimes a Kshatriya has to fight for that. But he has to do this with this transcendental knowledge. I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm just executing the order of Krishna. So a devotee will only fight if Krishna orders him. It's a very exceptional situation. Otherwise, devotees are very peaceful. But they become very strong also because they are empowered by Krishna. Tasma jnana sammutam ritstam jnana sinatmanam chitvanam samsyam yogam atishta bharata. Therefore, the doubts which has arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharat, stand and fight. That, so, Srila Prabhupada concludes, sacrifices are based on regulation, action, sacrifices are based on regulated action. Regulated action and are meant to awakening Krishna consciousness. Sacrifice is spiritual if performed with a spiritual objective, which requires knowledge of one's own self and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's like a summary of the whole knowledge in this chapter. You must have the Paramgati, the supreme goal, is pleasing Krishna. We have to know who we are, a spirit soul, the consciousness in this body. And with that knowledge, we connect the spirit soul with Krishna by service. And that knowledge, how to do that, this is transcendental knowledge. And that will purify your consciousness and bring you to the pure consciousness of the soul, identifying with our real self, giving up identification of our false self, that giving up our attachment to everything in this world and cultivating great attachment to Krishna. So Thank you very much. Any question? No?
When you feel some gratitude for what you receive from Krishna, is simply for your own gratification, this feeling, and maybe you are enjoying the process of chanting, the process of devotional service for yourself, but you actually cannot follow everything, and this creates a strong feeling of guilt.
Yeah, that feeling of guilt is good. But one thing you said is that I'm trying to enjoy the activities of Krishna consciousness. That has to be turned a little different. We are performing activities in Krishna consciousness, not for our own enjoyment, only to give enjoyment to Krishna. It should be clear, we chant Hare Krishna to please Krishna, not to please ourselves, not to have a good feeling, just to give him pleasure. And then in the heart, the change will take place. So that is an important aspect. That this guilt, we have in the Bhagavatam, the example that Maharaj Pariksit offended a mystic Brahmin, Samaka Rishi, by offering him a garland of a dead snake. That he should not have done, that's not proper. But then after he done that, he felt great guilt. That and that's a good thing. We cannot do things properly, and we feel guilty of it. But we should try to improve little by little. Little by little, not thinking I cannot do it. You pray to Krishna for strength to do it. And you improve little by little, day by day. Try to get a regulation, what you can do now, and go never down again. And build it up little by little. What you can. That. And whatever step you make, Krishna will make 10 steps toward you. He will help you. That is a process of taking shelter of Krishna. You cannot change your habits overnight. It's not possible. Yesterday, my spiritual master, I heard him saying, he joined Mayapur in 1976. And before, when he was living in Bangladesh, he was used to sleep till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And now he had to get up at 4 o'clock. And he said, I just could not do it. But He was in a room with an American devotee, and an American devotee first went up at 3:30 to take a shower. And then he didn't want to come out of his bed, so the devotee lifted him out with his arms out of the bed, so he had to get up. So if you live in association of devotees, they will encourage you. And little by little, you do. Chanting 16 rounds it's not such a big thing. When I met Indradyumna Maharaj, he was chanting. He said to me, I'm a slow chanter. I want to relish to hear every name of Krishna. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in the beginning was like that. Now, of course, you don't have to chant so slow. But in the beginning, I needed 4 hours to finish 16 rounds. But now, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare. And you chant I'm chanting 16 rounds in 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's not much. It's just a question of practice and taking shelter of Krishna. That whether you chant slow or quick, but make some time for Krishna in your life. He gave you everything. It's just asking some little things in Bhagavad Gita to rectify your consciousness. And you start with that. And you build up. It's like a weightlifter. He builds up every day a little more. And like that, we build up. And gradually you will feel the effect on the quality of your life. You will be less under control of this mind. And you will be a very lovable person towards others. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, another question. That's a very good question. First, the knowledge you need for that is described in Nectar of Instruction. Text 5, purport. In the first 3 verses of Bhagavad Gita, it's 9.2 9.3. Srila Prabhupada speaks about the qualification of a spiritual master. Also, from the Bhagavatam, the 3 levels of devotees, the understanding what's a Kanishta, a beginner, understanding what's an Madhyam Adhikar, one who is halfway devotional service, and what is an Uttam Adhikar. If you have understood what the qualities are of a spiritual master, then you must test him. But the qualities of the spiritual advanced are explained in Bhagavad Gita. In the 12th chapter, from verse 14 to 20, Krishna gives a list of all who is very dear to him. That also at the end of the 14th chapter, verse 25 till the end, Krishna gives lists of qualities of one who is transcendental to the modes of material nature. It's, also in the second chapter, Arjuna is asking a similar question. It's 244, 254, 255. In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 8 to 12 gives the process to acquire knowledge, and one who applies that is in knowledge. If you have understood all these things, then you have to observe the spiritual master and see if he acts according to these instructions. But it's not just based on this knowledge. Because we accept first Srila Prabhupada as a spiritual master. And that's the first thing, but Srila Prabhupada gives general instructions, universal instructions. But the spiritual master, to make further spiritual advancement, the disciple to make further spiritual advancement, requires instructions which are especially, in particular, for his own specific situation. We are always in a certain way under the modes of nature. In practice, if you are sincere and you want a spiritual master, then Krishna brings you somewhere or another in contact with a spiritual master you need. You need. But still, you have to test the spiritual master. And not just sentimentally, that's very dangerous. There are many things. That's how long is this person in Krishna consciousness? 50 years? Did the person fall down? No, that's a good sign. 50 years, after 50 years, usually you don't fall down. So there are many considerations like that. But you have to take your time for that. No, don't jump into that. Associate with devotees and hear from them. And does that help? Okay. Something else? No? Good. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.